And what I'm going to speak about is really just one perspective, a perspective that we're looking at right now, and it's about virtual reality and how we look at design from how we actually positioned ourselves before, how we may position ourselves today, and how we may position ourselves in the future. And again, design, as we know it, we were taught, it's something that's really an integrated process. It's something that we sit down not only in our teams, but we invite in other perspectives, our clients' perspectives. We really try to discover what those what those next steps would be, some opportunities, some solutions maybe at that time, at that point of time. And those things will change depending on how we walk through that, how that process is set up. We're finding ourselves with maybe easy ways to present, but is our design thinking really changing in this? What's really giving us that other level of inspiration and making us try to look at these environments and these spaces in a different way? And this is one environment, which is the next cave. This is one step down from a fully immersed environment, but the next cave really gives you a three-dimensional viewpoint. It's a bunch of different screens that are really trying to surround you. It's scalable, so you could make this thing almost encase you if you wanted to. It's really in your perspective, and not just your visual perspective. You can bring clients inside these environments. You can walk them through something that we believe we're explaining and communicating really clearly, but in many cases, they're really ideas. We see space differently. When we're bringing a client or designing something throughout our team, just adding that next level of perspective is really important. Then you get down to an environment like the Star Cave, which really is a fully immersed environment. You really be able to test things out. Now you're inside of this, and you're able to see yourself at full scale. You're able to, your movement is also tracked in here. You're able to control it by little toggles and whatever, but in this, it's your perspective in the group that's within the Star Cave with you. And when you're standing inside of this environment, you truly do feel that it's as close to real as you can get these days. The virtual environment is getting tighter and tighter. Now, applications, what they're using right now and what they're doing in the future, you're actually able to track your eye. So for wayfinding, for a variety of different cognitive studies, they're able to now track what you're doing, what you're thinking. If you're walking down a corridor and you're hooked up to this, as you can see in the upper right, they'll actually know where your eyes are moving. They'll know if you're recognizing the red door versus the blue door, where they'll give you a path to be able to walk. And in that walking path, they'll time you, and when you actually recognize that destination or that goal, then all of a sudden it clicks in, the computer runs it, and lets you know that your design or your wayfinding of the design is actually becoming more successful. And the tools are getting much more simple. And actually they're becoming wireless, they're looking pretty cool. You look like a surfer here in San Diego. Architecturally, which is really what many of us are in, there's so many different applications of this as well. And like I said, I think it's about the perspective that you bring to it. So when we're designing, how many different layers and how many different, I'll even just call them visual angles, can we bring to what we do? You really have to think of the possibilities. We've brought this out where our design team hasn't been able to go to a site in some country, but we've got full panoramic video of it. So we're able to go into the Star Cave, walk around a place in Mumbai or Lima, Peru, and walk around this and feel like you're actually within that environment. You can actually take the sound within that environment. And again, it is virtual, but it's about as close as you can get than spending the $15,000 ticket to go round trip. So we've been able to at least start studies, start designs, be able to respond to our client when they're talking about a specific part and piece. This is just one of the case studies that we went through. I'll try to run through this real quick. This was up in San Francisco, one of the libraries. And in this was actually, the design was moving forward, but it was changing rapidly. This was in addition to an existing library. And they actually were going to change around the whole campus sort of movement and circulation, because they were going to change the whole entrance to this library. And in that, we really didn't know how this was going to work. So we went to the campus, documented everybody's movement, and then we brought this into the cave, and we started to look at how we could set up that stage, how we could set up how to enter into this environment. But we would test this in our SketchUp models, we test this in our sketches and our physical models. So we would go through the environment and we'd look at this, but we were, again, it was a single perspective. Even though there were multiple in there, it was really a single perspective. We couldn't really get into that space. And our clients as well were seeing this, and they were trusting us as architects and designers on what we were saying. You know, this is going to be beautiful, this atrium is going to fill with light. But when we got to the point of bringing them into the cave and showing them this, even recording it and bring it back, when we brought them into the Star Cave, another level of ownership. They really understood how you could walk through the space, how things felt to them, not just how they looked. You know, you could take a walk up the stairs. You can change a material, as in that we were changing textures, the light quality, we were changing the time of day. We were able to go on in here and again, bring the client to another level of understanding. When you're actually sitting there with a client and they're telling you their ideas and you're inside of this and they're saying, I really wasn't thinking that that's how I would move through it. I was actually looking, I was going to, you know, move a little bit, and the students really come from this direction. You're really able to see this in here, and they bring their perspective up to, you know, in a way what yours is. It's a real perspective.